Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff, Tam McManus and Alison McConnell are here with me. If you want to join the football family, you can. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. And if you want to download the app, you'll get all the breaking news at your fingertips. It's a big week for Scottish clubs in Europe. We'll be following the trials and tribulations of Celtic, Rangers and Hearts. We'll get the thoughts of our panellists on that. We'll look back over the weekend's results as well. And of course, you can give us your view. All you have to do is comment in the section below and we'll try and read out as many as we possibly can. So with that in mind, here's how the Premiership results ended over Saturday and Sunday for you. That was the table, which might give you an indication of where you're sitting. But Aberdeen won, St Johnstone won, more drop points for the Dons. Celtic comfortably seeing off Hibs 3-0, Dundee United and Kilmarnock 1-1. Hearts 2-0 against Dundee. We've got to praise Ruffy for his prediction that Shankland would score. He did indeed. It was a late one for Tony Watt to get the 3 points for Motherwell at St Mirren. And Rangers comfortably winning up at Dingwall by 3-0. So that's the results from the weekend. Celtic 3, Hibs 0. Engels scored. Didn't look too happy when he was scoring. Maybe he's been reading some of the noise that surrounds him.
Yeah, it was a weird celebration. I get that he's had a bit of criticism, but I think when you score a goal, it's just joy. So I'm surprised that he kind of reacted like that. I was obviously, taking it personally that some of the Celtic fans have been on his back a little bit. I don't think it's been serious abuse, but they've been probably wanting more for their £11 million. But listen, he comes back into the team, scores. Celtic win 3-0, but I don't think that tells the story of the game, Peter. I think that when you look at the opportunities that Hibs created on the day, Kukurevich misses 2 one-on-ones, Joe Neal misses a sitter. Celtic missed a few chances as well, but that game could easily have been 5-3. So I think
Schmeichel was man of the match.
Schmeichel was superb. Schmeichel had 2 or 3 great saves. I think Celtic were terrible at the back. They were wide open. Never seen a Celtic team like that. Hibs were cutting them open at will in the first half. As I said, 3-0, I think they really flattered Celtic, but listen, it's a game, 3-0, clean sheet, and they move on to the next game.
Does it fill you full of confidence should the Hibs fans be listening to what David Gray had to say after the game, because he says they're creating chances, that gives them a real sense that they can turn this around. He said that before, but it's Ross County, Aberdeen, Hearts and Kilmarnock next on the agenda.
Yeah, Ross County at home's a big game. I think when you look at the last 3 games for Hibs, they scored 3 against Aberdeen, they scored 3 against Motherwell, and they could have scored 3 again at the weekend against Celtic. So they are creating opportunities, but they've got to take them. Kukurevich, he's got to score one of those opportunities, and it changes the game early doors. So yeah, I think that if Hibs keep creating chances, then they are going to start putting them away. But yeah, listen, I think from a Celtic point of view, they'll be happy they won 3-0. But I don't think Brendan will be happy with the way they defended for the 90 minutes.
You talked about Kukurevich. Ruffy, for me, Joe Newell's chance is just the pick of the bunch. I mean, he's just right in front of goal. Keep it down, it's in the net.
Yeah, it's just a bit of composure, isn't it? I think he was a bit taken aback how quickly it came to him, and he was falling back when he hit it. But I mean, you have to say, if it had been the other end of the park, it probably hit the back of the net. But they were creating chances. But I think Celtic need to be a wee bit more disciplined when they play at home, because if you're a manager, it's so easy to catch them out because they're attacking so much. When we see them playing in Europe, they are disciplined defensively. But if you look at the Celtic back four, they're all on the halfway line. So if you're pushing forward and you've got possession of the ball and then you lose it, all you do is just hit it into space. Just hit it over the top of the 2 centre-halves, and then it's just a race to see who gets there first. But I think Brendan Rodgers will have learnt a lesson for the weekend.
Yeah, this is what he had to say after the match. It was a great win, but we were nowhere near our level defending. We kept a clean sheet, and that's a huge testament to Kasper Schmeichel. We'll always demand to be the best we can be, but to get the win was due to the mentality. I don't even think he was too happy with the way they pressed, Alison.
Yeah, I think there were aspects about the performance that he'll know when you go into the Champions League that will be penalised when you're playing against better teams. I think, on paper it looks like a very comfortable win for Celtic, but it wasn't the same level of fluency that you've seen from them across recent weeks. I think the fact that Hibs had so many chances will be a source of consternation for them, because there's so much. If Celtic can come away with a result tomorrow night in Croatia, if they come away with even a point, then it puts them in a fantastic position to go and push for this, to go into the next stage of the Champions League, to get into the knockout stages. So I think he'll know they can't really afford to defend like that. And you maybe look at Zagreb, they've not been playing particularly well, have had their own problems to seek across recent weeks. But the fact is, a Champions League side will take, they will take those kind of chances.
I've had a look at the predictions that I made that Celtic wouldn't lose a game domestically, Ruffy. I've kind of reassessed that not on the basis of the fact that they had a 3-0 win over Hibs, but I was looking at last season when Brendan came in for a bit of flack and it wasn't going according to plan. And I've looked at the remaining games that they have, and right at this point, I think they've played some like 15 games, so they've got another 50. They've got another 23 to go. Right. And I've got them down for 105 points with a couple of draws and a defeat in there.
Is there a defeat now?
There's one defeat after it all becomes totally and utterly mathematically doesn't matter. That's what I think. I think they're going to get about 105 points. I can't see anybody stopping them. Even when Hibs have chances, don't take them. You always feel as if Celtic can go through the gears.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think we saw last year, when certain players fall out the side, McGregor, Cameron Vickers, two big players, they don't have the same fluency in the team, and it depends if they stay fit, which I'm sure they will be, but I know people will say, they've got people coming in, but I just think Scales and the other boy just done their partnership. I think they're vulnerable, but no, I still think somebody, and I keep talking about January, February, nights like Aberdeen, rain howling, football goes out of the window and you've just got to grind out a result. So there will be a couple of them round the corner for
Celtic. A couple
Celtic.
of defeats, you think?
Yeah, I think there'll be a couple, yeah.
2?
Yeah, 2.
Okay. I've got 105 points on it.
I think if they're going to get beat, it'll be after they've won the league. I think that's the time where you maybe start resting players. They might introduce a couple of younger players, whatever. I think that'll be the period when they do get beaten. I totally agree with Ruffy there about the balance at Celtic with Scales and Trusty, 2 left-sided players. Trusty doesn't look comfortable on the right-hand side. I think when he plays with Carter Vickers and he plays on the left-hand side, they're so much better. They can cover the ground. I feel he is vulnerable with Scales, and that showed at the weekend. So Carter Vickers is pivotal to Celtic. I think he's pivotal playing tomorrow if he's fit, and particularly at the weekend against Rangers in the final. So he is a pivotal player because I agree, Trusty and Scales don't look solid at all together.
Yeah, and of course this game is a big game, part of a double header for Celtic. They've got Rangers coming up in the Premier Sports Cup final, but this game on Tuesday night, Ali, you've suddenly got Zagreb. They're third in their own domestic league, no wins in 4, not playing well, lots of injuries. They're wondering what kind of side they're going to put out there. They're a point behind Celtic in this Champions League table. Celtic in 20th, Zagreb in 23rd. If anything, there's a feeling that maybe Celtic can end that long run of not having won away from home. I think it'll be something like 7 years. I think Anderlecht in 2017, the last time they managed an away win.
Yeah. Celtic's away form in Europe as a whole is poor. I think, they've had some very sobering results on the road, but I think this game should offer cautious optimism for Celtic. I think they will. I'm not sure they'll be overly swayed by Zagreb's form. I think the manager was saying he thought you might only have 14 fit players for the game tomorrow night. However, I think what should augur well for Celtic is just how they've played in the competition up until now. Fantastic draw against Atalanta, but I'll qualify that by saying that the result in Dortmund, there has to be a kind of certain level of pragmatism about the performance. I don't think they can afford to go all out and go for a win or be naive in terms of how they set up. I think it has to be another fairly mature performance, and I think they would be delighted if they took a point away. I think they would be absolutely thrilled with it.
Yeah, how do you see it going?
I think they'll get the point.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go for a draw.
Ruffy?
Yeah, I would think a draw at this moment in time, but
Why the deep sigh? You think it was a question that was trying to work out?
Because I think they should win it. I really do. I think they've proved in Europe. You know, I don't think Zagreb are as good as Atalanta. So they went there and gave a good account of themselves. They had chances there. I think they will get chances in this game. And I was going to, the reason I sighed was I was going to go 2-1, but Alisson put me off saying one each.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Celtic 2-1. I think they've got players in there that could win this one.
So in the end, Alisson didn't put you off after all.
Yeah, I think Celtic can win, Peter. I think away from home, particularly the last couple of performances have been decent, so I'm going to go for 2-1 to Celtic as well.
Yep, I'm going to go with Ali on this. I think 1-1 might be the overall outcome. Now, isn't it amazing the flip side of once you get a little bit of momentum, once you get some players in who can make a difference, then you start to win games, then the fans start to feel good about it. There's an AGM that went maybe not as smoothly as everyone would have liked, but certainly after a 6-0 win against Kilmarnock, people were looking rather optimistically at maybe this was turning for Philippe Clement, and they go up to Dingwall and win by 3-0. And suddenly, for me, I'm looking and thinking, it's a big week for Rangers because there's a real feel-good factor there.
Yeah, they're hitting their stride at the right time, Peter. I think you're right, getting players back. I think Igamani's came in and gave them a lift. I think he's raw, he's still to develop, he's a young player, but he's got good attributes. You know, he's strong. I don't think he doesn't look the biggest, but he's powerful. You know, he can roll defenders, he's got good ability, good skill, took his goal well. The fans seem to have taken to him as well. I think the fans like him. Danilo's come back into the team. I thought Suter was excellent. I think he's having a great season at Rangers. I think he was very, very solid. And, you know, going to Nice and winning 4-1, sorry. You know, taking 6 off of Kilmarnock and then 3, you're right, they're hitting momentum at the right time. You know, just when you think he's under serious pressure, they've got 3 really good wins. They've got Tottenham coming up, who are a bit of a mess at the minute, and Celtic in the final. So you're right, it's a massive week for Celtic, but it's also a massive week for Rangers, and it will define their season. You could end up winning a trophy and effectively qualifying out the Europa League this week, or they could be struggling in the Europa League and lose the final. So it's a big week for Rangers, but I think they're playing with a lot more fluency at the minute. I think he's changed it a little bit with playing the 2 strikers, Igamani off the left and Danilo, or when Dessers was playing. So I think that they look a better team at the minute, Peter.
Yeah, the other aspect of it as well is if you can get a situation where, a number of Rangers fans have said to me that they don't know what type of player Danilo is because they've never seen that much of him. He's been always injured. So they haven't really got a chance to kind of form an opinion of what style of player he is. If he can score, if suddenly you've got a situation where Igaman can chip in with the goals, albeit he got a deflection, he'll not be caring. And then suddenly you say to yourself, getting these wins, County at home have been tough at the best of times. And another key issue to this, Alison, is the fact that Haji's come back in and it just seems to have transformed the side.
I think those 3 players that you mentioned, I think they give Rangers a different attacking dimension. I think they offer, Haji in particular, I think offers a creativity that Rangers have been crying out for across recent months. And Danilo and Igamani, I think they just offer something different. They give you better options up front. They give you movement. They give you shots on target. I think sometimes Rangers have looked like a very shot-shy team at points. I think they look much more menacing in a final third. They look more balanced as a team, and there's more confidence about them as a side. I think they started the game well yesterday, got off to a flyer obviously with the early goal, but there was never a point where they looked as though that win was in any doubt, under any question. I think they look much more stable with the changes that have been made.
It's amazing what a month can do, Ruffy. Last month they were 9 points behind Aberdeen. Now they're only 2. They're reeling them in. They've got a game in hand. They could leapfrog Aberdeen. And you've got this double header coming up. Tottenham and, of course, Celtic in the cup final. And if, as Tam mentioned, suddenly the whole feel-good factor could go through the roof if they could come out with 2 positive ones.
Yes, most definitely. I mean, the result in Nice, I think, was a turning point. You know, nobody expected them to go there and win that game. But I think you've still got to put things into perspective. Kilmarnock, poor side. Ross County, bottom of the league, near enough. You know, let's see when they get tested. You know, they've not played against any.
Against a team that's out of our league. normally, financially, but we're going to that way to see also with this squad what they can do at that level. It's going to be a first test against a team of that magnitude and that quality of players. So I'm really looking forward to that. And you see physically, technically, the team is growing also in all the automatism. Now we're going to see that against one of the best teams in the world.
Well, I think he's overstated that part of it. He's certainly going to see one of the worst teams in the world in Tottenham.
Yeah, Tottenham are a difficult one to call at the minute, Peter. I mean, they go to Man City and drub them 4-0, and then lose away to Bournemouth. Could have got beat 4-0 then yesterday. 4-2. Could have won 5-4. Could have lost 7-2. I mean, it was just Spurs are Spurs at the minute under Ange Postecoglou. He's getting a lot of criticism down there because he's unable or unwilling to change his philosophy when they're winning games. They're 2-0 up yesterday.
He's going to get the sack.
A lot of people, well, if they keep losing games, he's going to get the sack. There's no doubt about that, Peter.
Yesterday was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, and I think that he's got to maybe look at that and think to himself, he's maybe got to be a little bit cuter when they go 2-0 up. They've done it twice this season. I think they've done it at Brighton as well, away from home. Maybe sitting a little bit and be a bit more harder to break down. Listen, two ridiculous penalties given against them. Nothing they can do about that. But listen, Rangers, I think will fancy their chance. It depends what team Spurs put out. And I think are Rangers going to be at full strength for that cup final on Sunday? Are Rangers going to put their full team out, Peter? Are they going to rest a couple of key players?
They're missing.
I think that the final is a far bigger game than this. Yeah. I think Rangers will get through, regardless of this game. And I think that guys like Suter and maybe Agamani, would you play them 3 days later? You've got a cup final. I'm interested to see what both teams set up, how they set up.
Yeah, puts himself in a really good position.
Hadji can't play in the other boy, Danilo.
I think there's not in the
European squad, so they'll be rested.
Yeah. Would you play a full strength squad? I think you will.
Yeah, of course you do. Particularly at home, you don't want to leave it too late. I think they'll know that a draw against them will be good enough to get them to where they want to be. Yeah. So, I think you've got to go for
it. I think it's good. I couldn't even predict. One thing I could predict.
This could be any score, Peter.
Well, I was going to say
any
score. One score it couldn't
any
be.
Score.
0-0.
Not going to be 0-0.
Not going to be 0-0, by the way. But, I mean, this is... Rangers, I think, the shift in the feel, a good factor here is amazing over the course of the last 3 or 4 weeks, because everybody was talking about the fact that Aberdeen, and we were all mentioning if Aberdeen could hold any sort of advantage going into the January transfer window, but slowly but surely the manager has mentioned getting players back free from injury, picking the squad that he wants to, picking the team that he wants to. Let's see when they deliver. They were criticised for playing turgid football. They had a goal fest against Kilmarnock and the Rangers fans had something to cheer. Again, they go away to a place which can be really difficult for a lot of clubs and they get a good 3-0 win. But they're against a side that just, some of the defending for Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, Ange at times was great to interview. He was absolutely fantastic up here. But the side is just, if you're 2-0 up against Chelsea, you just shut up shop.
You just know that he's not going to. You know the way he plays, he won't change it. In 6 months' time, if he's still there, you'll still be having this conversation. I don't think he gets any more pragmatic. I don't think he's going to alter that, just from the interviews that we had with him and chats that he had about European football and changing his style. It's his philosophy. He only has that philosophy, and he's not. He doesn't take very kindly to being asked about whether or not there are options to change it and become a bit more pragmatic. And
here's a wee question for you. So, do you ever sit at the television? You need to tell me this. Do you ever sit at the television and swear? Do you ever sit at the television and
when I saw some of the defending yesterday.
Yesterday I'm sitting in front of the television.
Mother Teresa would have sworn if she was a Spurs fan yesterday.
I'm sitting at the television and I can see Cole Palmer at the edge of the penalty box, and the guy just barges right him, and Ruffy, my wife's looking at me, she says, "What?" I says, "What the fuck? This guy's off his nut. Don't touch him." He just barges right into him. If you're a manager, you're battering your head off the wall.
You would be furious with it. The other thing you could say about that, right enough, is he maybe doesn't have the players of a level there that can play the way he wants to play. You know, he wants to play out from the back, and he wants to play a very
Not in that league.
particular style. In that league, and with the players, he needs better players. If he's going to play like that, he needs better players to do so.
And
So
that
is
means more
what
money,
happens.
which
But
Levy
that is
won't
what
give him.
happens then. So then you do have players that concede those kind of penalties, that make those kind of decisions in games because you're making the wrong call within a game. They're under pressure, you're feeling a tension, you're put on the spot, and you make the wrong call as a player. And I think that's the difference between players at a particular kind of level and those just beneath. But I think the inconsistency of Spurs, like to be able to turn up and beat Man City, albeit Man City aren't in the best of moments, but to go and to beat Man City 4-0 and then to be so turgid and lethargic against Bournemouth, to never look likely of winning that game, of getting anything out of it, and then to start the game against Chelsea so well, so to be clinical, to get the goals, to make the most of the mistakes, and then to keep playing, to keep being as open, and the chances coming. But you could tell Chelsea were going to get themselves back into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget, give us your opinion on what we're talking about here. Try and keep it decent. If you do in any way cross the line, then obviously, as I mentioned to Tam, and he loves it, then we will obviously bar you from the channel. Try and keep your comments absolutely decent. 99% of the people who watch the programme, either live or indeed at their own leisure, are all sensible with their comments. And with that in mind, here is Ange Postecoglou on where Tottenham are at the moment.
Yeah, I don't sense that anyone's feeling sorry for themselves, but yeah, it's a tough moment because you kind of. There are all these tools you could possibly use as a manager when you're going through tough moments to sort of turn things around, and our limited sort of resources from a playing perspective at the moment doesn't allow us to do that. So you've got to find other ways, because I mean it's not through a lack of effort. I mean the players who are constantly out there because we can't rotate are giving everything they can, but it kind of diminishes performance as well because they probably need a rest, but we can't give them a rest.
Well, there you are. There's maybe some mitigating circumstances that we all should maybe take into consideration, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think he's already said that previous to that game. You know, most managers do. And then it's up to us, to decide the players that aren't playing, would it have made a difference. And certainly some of the positions that he's talking about would make them better. But I think we've got to realise as well the quality in that league is far, far better than what we're in, and the opposition has got far more quality in the teams as well. So you've got to be at 100%. You've got to be near enough your best 11 to start going on a run in that league.
Yeah. What about with the injuries though? How do you see this one going against Rangers?
Well, again, I all credit to Rangers, attacking and scoring goals and that. But I think they're going to come up against a team who's going to put them on the back foot for a wee while. And we've seen Rangers on the back foot sometimes, and they don't come up with the goods. So I think it's all about Rangers, how they perform. But I think if they went into game trying to get a draw and they got a draw, they'd be happy with that.
Yeah, I know they'd be happy with it.
One
Any
each.
chance you could give
One
them
each.
an opinion?
One each.
One each?
Yeah.
You think they'll get a draw?
Yeah.
Okay. Ali, do you agree with Ruffy? No.
No, I think there'll be goals in it. I think Spurs will win. I think they'll win. And he has. He's played the kids in all the kind of European games. He's played a younger squad. He might have to, given some of the injuries that he's got. No, I think Spurs will win. I think they do offer a particular kind of menace going forward. I think they've got goals in them. But I think there'll be goals in it. I think it could be 4-2 or something like that.
Yeah.
It could be
Just
something
Spurs?
ridiculous. Yeah.
So
When did Spurs play Hearts at Tynecastle?
It was July, wasn't it? Pre-season game?
No, it was a couple of years ago. I
years.
was at the game. And
5-1 to Spurs.
when the Spurs team came out, they looked bigger, they looked stronger, they just looked a different breed of player than what we have in our league. They just looked bigger, I think is the word I'm
More
talking
athletic,
about.
big
Aye, more. They
athletic.
looked. I'm trying to think of the players they had then, but they beat Hearts something like 5-1.
yeah.
I can't remember when that was.
So it wasn't Ange's team though?
No,
It's a
no, it
totally
wasn't.
different team. This is,
No.
This is by the way, we'll have a go, you have a go, and then we'll have a go. And then when we go 2 goals up, we'll play 2 at the back, play a high line, and just every now and then we'll just barge into you and give you a penalty. Have you seen his team?
This is one of the biggest, the hardest predictions I think I've ever had in the game. I don't know with Tottenham. I don't know. Tottenham, if to turn up and play well, could batter Rangers. And at the same time, they've got the two centre-halves went off injured yesterday, Van de Ven and Romero. The boy Davis is injured. The goalie's got a broken ankle. They could concede 2 or 3 goals. So 3 each.
Three
Three each. Honestly, it's difficult. I mean, if Rangers will score, but I think Spurs will score a few. I don't know, 3. I'll go 3 each.
Yeah.
But nothing would surprise me, bar 0-0.
I'm going to go 3-2 Spurs. And I think, you know, you're right, Tam. Anything can happen in the game. I mean, it's just crazy. Some of the defending defies belief, but I think they've got better players. I mean, listen, how Maddison can't get in that side, I'll never know. He should be an absolute starter all the time. He dictates from the middle of the park. But we shall see what type of team he picks. And of course, Philippe Clement is relishing the prospect of playing against a side with far greater spending power. Let's see how it all pans out. Give us your thoughts on it. If you're a Rangers fan, are you confident going into that match as well? Let's get your thoughts on that. We'll be talking about Copenhagen against Hearts shortly. But Aberdeen, 1 win in 7 games. They've dropped 12 points since the 23rd of November, and another couple dropped in the match against St Johnstone. And suddenly, Ruffy, some Dons fans are booing the team.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you're a team. You've had so much success at the beginning of the season that the fans buy into it. They know where the team is and the players that you've got. But if you keep winning and keep winning, you're putting yourself under pressure, because you know when you start not winning, then the fans don't accept it, and that's what's happening at Aberdeen just now. But I mean, where they are, I'm sure the manager will be telling the players that we're a fantastic start to the season. It's a long way to go, but you know, they'll just be looking for Europe.
Jimmy Tillene, I think he's well aware of some of the fans and their frustration.
Our support has been amazing so far this season. Today I can understand some frustration. That's football, that's normal sometimes when you have high expectations, but I think we have to keep believing what we're doing. We have to stick together.
Yeah, oh, I mean, it's incredible. 12 points dropped since the 23rd of November. I mean, the bottom's come out of it. And the reason, Tam, I put to you is quite simply that in football, as you well know, managers and players start to work out teams. As the season progresses, you start to look at players and see what they do. You've got coaches in there who highlight weaknesses. You've got a whole backroom team who say, right, this is the way they're lining up. This is the style they're going to play. That's the nature of football. And I think clubs, St Johnstone, they're working them out.
Yeah, obviously a surprise package at the start of the season. Nobody knew Jimmy Tillene, how he played, how he set up. And I think that surprise factor obviously helped him at the start of the season. But even in some of the games they were winning, they were getting a wee bit fortunate. I can remember Dundee up at Pittodrie, you know, missing the penalty, you know, and you know, really been the better team. Should have been 2 or 3 up at half time. Aberdeen come back strongly and won the second half. Same with Dundee United at home. Poor first half, come back and nicked the game. I think 1-0. Celtic Park, you know, got a 2 each draw, but really Celtic should have won that game as well. So I think maybe the results are just levelling off. I still think they're going to finish third comfortably, but you know, the title contenders and splitting the Old Firm and all that, I think that's gone now. I think that's gone within, you're right, the last month. I don't see them doing that now. And they've just got to try and get back on the horse again, so to speak, and start picking up wins and making sure they rubber stamp third place, because I don't think they'll finish in front of Rangers now, the way both teams are going.
The bubble is burst,
yeah, it's burst,
according to Tam.
Yeah, I think there was always a danger of that. If you go back a couple of weeks, everyone looked at October as a month where maybe the wheels would come off and Aberdeen would falter. They got through that, and it's been the next month. But I sometimes think that when you've been on a run of form like that and it's punctured, and there's the record goes and there's that defeat at St Mirren, it's almost just as if there's an air of confidence and belief that went out of the team. I think it just
6-0 game in the semi-final. You think that was a?
But then they came back from that. Like they got back on track after that one.
What about Craig's point here? He says first choice goalkeeper, left back, and top scorer all out injured for Aberdeen. And they've still nearly matched last season's points tally. I mean, if we're going to be fair and offer mitigating circumstances for other teams, is there a legitimate case here for Aberdeen?
Of course it is, but that was always the argument when we discussed earlier is this an Aberdeen that are capable of going all the way throughout the campaign to get to second? These were the points that were made. Well, do you have the depth and the resources to be able to cope with a full campaign? It's a marathon. It stretches across 9-10 months, and that was always a suspicion that if you lost key players, could you still sustain the same run of form? If you look at the likes of Celtic, who've lost Cameron Carter-Vickers at points this season and players have been out, they have this squad that's so big that it can cushion those losses. Even when players are pretty significant, they have enough to come through it, and I think that was always going to be the question mark for Aberdeen. Did they have enough to sustain it over the long journey of 9 or 10 months? And I had to say, the prevailing feeling I had all the way was that I thought Rangers would come back and get second. We spoke about it often on this show and on the journals. I think it purely comes down to resources. I think just bigger squads and able to handle it. I do wonder a bit about the last month, whether or not there has been an inability to cope, maybe just with the pressure that had built up over such a strong start to the season, the expectancy that had built up. I think that can be quite a difficult thing for teams to cope with when you have a team then chasing you. So when Rangers are trying to hunt them down for second, there's a different kind of psychology at play that I'm not sure Aberdeen were entirely used to.
Another thing with Aberdeen as well, they were so successful because the guys that were coming off the bench were doing them a turn, but now the guys that were coming on the bench are starting the games, and that's different. It's a different mentality. They've got to go in at the beginning. They've got to be the ones that are going to win the game, and they're not doing it for them just now.
Yeah, it's a difficult time for them, whether they can get through that. I always thought they needed at least 6 points of a cushion to get to a January transfer window to see if they could tempt, the board to really back them for another 2 or 3 players.
Yeah, I think that little period of the 3 away games and then Celtic at home has been the turning point for them. I think that you look at St Mirren away, Hibs away, Hearts away, Celtic at home, picked up what? 2 points? 1 point?
But does it not mean if they've had 3 games away from home, they've had 3 games at home in that good run?
Yeah, they've got 3 games coming up at home now. I think they've got, obviously, the St Johnstone. St Johnstone at the weekend, and I think they've certainly got Hibs at home coming up. And Pete will tell me the other one.
I'm not going to tell you right now until I get there.
Definitely, I know they've definitely got Hibs at home.
They've got Hibs next,
Yep.
and then they've got Kilmarnock and Dundee United, and then Ross County, and then Motherwell away. At the start of the January. But there's certainly, at this moment, I look at the next 4 games, tough though they may be. You would have looked at that Aberdeen side at the start of the season and thought, oof, they could come away with 12 points. Now you're not so sure.
No, you're not, and I think you've got to give credit to St Johnstone as well, Peter. I know we're talking about Aberdeen, but I thought they played well and they created opportunities. And Mackenzie Cutterfield played with his dad, Andy, down at Boston United, ex-Hearts. He looks lively. He's done well for them this season. He scored some goals for them. He looks very similar to the way his dad played.
Yeah.
Played on the shoulder. He's got pace. He's got an eye for goals. So he's a find. He's coming through the youth set up at Hearts and then went to St Johnstone. So yeah, St Johnstone are playing a more attractive brand of football. I think you've seen that against Rangers, but they never had the cutting edge. But they knocked the ball about well at times.
I think they're the team that are upsetting the apple cart of all our predictions.
Yeah.
Because of the way they've gone about their business, because
They're
of
much
the way
more positive, Peter.
Valakari wants them to
They're
play.
much more positive. They're not negative. I think under Craig Levein they were organised and pretty negative, and sat in and tried playing a counter attack. He's quite open and expansive. He believes in his players and he believes that they can go and compete with anybody, and that was a big point for them. Good point for them.
Okay, what do you make of the Dundee Dons? If you're an Aberdeen fan, has the bottle crashed? Has it all gone south? Can you hold on to second place? Or are Rangers just about to reel you in and overtake you? Give us your thoughts on that. If there's ever a man who deserves great credit for the way his side have played this season, it's Dundee United and Jim Goodwin. Sam Dalby getting the goal that looked as if it was going to get them all 3 points until a penalty. That beggars belief. I mean, honestly, if I was Jim Goodwin, you'd have had to drag me off the referee and the VAR.
Yeah, I think initially with the ball going away from play, the both of them have swung their foot in to get it, and the boys caught the end of his foot. It's not for penalty for me. It's a cheap penalty.
Yeah,
cheap.
Do you think it was a penalty, Ali? Yeah, Jim Goodwin, as you can imagine, on a week-to-week basis, sometimes you can tell when Jim's biting his tongue. This was one of them.
I can't complain too much about it, considering that we got one similar the week before. There was a big deal made about that one that we got last Saturday, so I'm assuming all the pundits and the journalists out there that said our one was soft last week will all be in agreement with me this week that the one that Kilmarnock have got today is very, very soft. There's minimal contact, but I was concerned after the amount of media attention our penalty decisions got last week. I was worried today that that we maybe that would go against us, and possibly that was the case.
Stonewaller, Jim. Sorry. No, he's right. I mean, last week they got one. It wasn't a penalty, and Listy does nick him. But
yeah, should they have had a penalty? I thought the keeper took out Sam.
Yeah, I thought it was a bigger penalty, the one that they never got.
Yeah.
And he's maybe right. The narrative this week was they were lucky to get the penalties and stuff, and they were certainly on the wrong end of it, because that was a Stonewall penalty for me. Goalkeeper comes out, misses the ball, punches the guy in the head, and then the one at the end. So yeah, I think Dundee United are unfortunate this week.
And I certainly don't like on this show the classic statement, they even themselves out over the season. I just think that's a lot of claptrap. You get rotten decision,
Yeah, and I think both of them, it's consistency you're looking for, Peter. And as I said, I don't know how you can not give that one and then give that one. I think both wrong decisions.
I think the worst one of the lot was when it happened, right at the end of the game.
Yeah,
5 minutes into.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes it even worse.
What about Bruce Anderson? There's no
finish.
suggestion of a wee Panenka.
No.
He fires the ball into the
Yeah,
road.
it was a super strike. I think you need, last time, you need a lot of confidence to do that thing.
Yeah.
Particularly when it was during the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Great penalty. That's how you take them. Let the keeper just worry about, just let the keeper
back
worry
out.
about diving and pick it back out. Yeah, absolutely. Alison, I know that from time to time it sticks in your throat. You don't really like paying homage to Ruffy, but he did say it.
This is his golden moment. This is his Martin McCutcheon moment.
This is his
Yeah,
moment.
in all fairness, I did
Come
say,
on.
I said it would be the winner. I said he would score, but it would be the winner 2-1, but he just took it a bit further.
Yeah.
He's obviously listened to me last
Lawrence
week, he'd said
Shankland
it.
scores 2. I love the line from everybody, clubs are now interested again in Lawrence Shankland after 2 goals. I mean, he's peace. But to be fair to the boy, he looked relieved. I mean, he even tried to chip the goalie at one point, such was his confidence. But 2 goals, and suddenly Hearts' fortunes change.
Yeah, I think those goals will be massive for him. They'll be so important. I think just to get the monkey off your back a bit, just to get rid of it now, just to kind of concentrate on playing, on scoring. Obviously, going into a point in his contract where he's going to be free to speak to other clubs if there is not a deal with Hearts, which certainly doesn't seem to be the case, judging by comments across recent weeks. So I think he'll just be delighted to get back to scoring goals, just to turn the focus onto the fact that he's contributing to the team. And I think Hearts need him to be scoring. I think you see what happens to their fortunes when you take those goals out of the team. You see how much they've struggled.
Yeah, can I just say to you, Ruffy, did you think the goalkeeper was at fault for his header back across? No,
it was too high. It was looping. It was going up and down the way. You know, so he couldn't have dived the height it was in. But no, he did well with the header, no doubt. I mean, I'm sure he would be boiling with his second goal. He actually kicks the ground.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that's
I know.
A lot goes your way, and even Lawrence Shankland himself just happy that he could claim those 2 goals.
Well, pretty easy when things are going well. Everything just seems to fall in a rhythm. But when you come across moments like that, you kind of need to dig into what you've learnt in the years and back yourself and be confident that it'll turn. And that's what I've had today. There's been some difficult games out there, and you're getting stick, which is obviously part of football. But you just need to grind through it, and the days like today come around again, and you get yourself back in the score sheet, and all of a sudden everything looks that bit better. Listen, I don't get overly caught up in it. I imagine there was a good amount of beer drank there as well at that time, so they're stronger than here as well. So, listen, obviously I heard it, and it's not ideal, but there's been times where they've been really good to me here as well. So it's not something I'm worried about.
I'm dying to know where he's going to end up. I don't know what level he is out with Scottish football.
Championship maybe in England.
Bottom end.
Aye. At his age, he's not got great pace. He could go abroad. There's it's a big world out there. There's plenty of places he could go looking for a goal scorer. But I thought he spoke really well there. It'd been easy for him to come out and have a dig there at the supporters because I thought it was out of order. And a guy that scored maybe 60, 70 goals for them in the last 2 seasons, near enough single-handedly got them to Europe, got them that trip, to give them that abuse, I thought was out of order. So I thought he showed a bit of class there by saying, you know, okay, you know, the fans had a bevy and they're entitled to their opinion, but I just get on with it. So no, I respected Lonnie Shankland there for that. I thought that they came across well there.
Yeah, and if they're going to have a bevy this week, Ali, it'll be 1 pint and 12 straws, please, because it's about 15 quid for a pint in Copenhagen. There'll not be too many Jambos bladdered on Thursday, will there?
No, absolutely not. It's not cheap to drink in Copenhagen. However, I think they'll go there with a bit of confidence, certainly knowing that he's back in amongst the goals. But like Tam, I thought you spoke well about a really difficult subject. It can't have been easy. He shrugged it off, but it can't be easy hearing fans, your own fans, telling you, you know, to go and take a run and jump to yourself because you're not contributing. I think it's poor.
Yeah. How many clubs?
I got it for 13 years. Never mind 2 months.
Exactly.
But did you ever think about getting through a spell and no scoring? Did you ever think about, oh God, I've not scored for 2 months?
I wasn't a prolific goal scorer, and I would score now and again, but I never really went on a long, sustained run of no scoring. But I think probably the longest was at Dunfermline, and we'd just been relegated for the Premier League, but in the Championship we were big favourites to go back up, and I was favourite to finish top goal scorer in the league. And I remember all that stuff, all that chat, and I never scored till like the middle of October, and down at Queen of the South, honestly, it was like Long Shankland's goal. The ball dropped to me and I hit into the ground, it bounced on the AfroTurf and bobbled in. And see the relief after that. And then I was getting the ball and trying things like Long Shankland. That was like a weight just come off your shoulders, and I can imagine Lawrence there. I fancied him when he got the first goal.
To get another
I thought he'll get 2 or 3 now because he's free, he's playing freer now, and I think you'll see Lawrence now. I think he'll score on Thursday. I think he'll go on a run now of scoring goals because it's a horrible place to be as a striker when you've not scored. The goals do shrink, metaphorically they do. You think you're never going to score another goal, and you know, fair play to him. You know, as I said, he'll get the 2 goals of confidence from that, and I think he'll go on the run now over the Christmas period and bang a few in for Hearts.
I remember the football show at the time. I remember Ruffy saying, you know, it's a lower league at the time, it's a lower standard, but McManus hasn't scored. It's time they maybe just shunted him on from Dunfermline.
They did shortly after
You were
that.
quite ruthless.
No, I was open. I used to say it's difficult to score when you're sitting on the bench, you know, when you're sitting in that thing there, you know. He's never going to score for their Peter. He used to go in the park.
Exactly. So at this point, I don't see Hearts winning. I think Copenhagen are third in the league. They're unbeaten in 12 games. I don't see Hearts winning. I think Copenhagen will win it comfortably.
I don't think Hearts will win either. No. I think I think it has the potential to be quite a difficult night for them.
Yeah, Ruffy?
No, I think they'll lose that one as well. They haven't proved away from home that they can win games yet.
3-1. Shankland will score.
3-1. 3-1 at Hearts?
Copenhagen.
3-1 to Copenhagen, okay. Jambos out there, give us your thoughts. Do you think something different from that? I know quite a few of my mates are heading over there. That's the joy of it though, isn't it, Ali? You're in Europe, so you turn around to your mates and you say, let's get a flight, we'll get a room, we'll just go there, we'll have a right good bevy, we'll integrate with everybody in the community, and it'll be magic. And that's what the joy of it is.
Absolutely. I think for fans it's fantastic fun. I think it's why there's always such an eagerness to get the European places, not just obviously because of the financial reward that comes for the club, but just for the adventure of it and for the opportunity to go and follow your team in Europe and have access to games like this.
Yeah, even though we were working, Ruffy, that's what I thought Germany was going to be like. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. St Mirren 0, Motherwell 1. Tony Watt, 30 years of age, pops up with a fantastic ball from Lennon Miller and the free kick and scores the winner.
Yeah, it was. That was a surprise for me. Motherwell have been poor in the last few weeks. I think two real hidings. Hibs, Dundee. And you think St Mirren away will be a tough game for them. Defended really, really well. Tony Watt's got himself back into the team. I actually seen a clip on PLZ this morning and we spoke about, you know, Stuart Kettlewell not putting him straight in because he wasn't fit enough. They hadn't done a pre-season. And I thought, again, you know, I think Tony spoke with a lot of maturity as an older striker. You know, sometimes when he was younger, he'd have been batting the door down, how am I not playing. But I think Kettlewell's done him a favour. He's let him bide his time. He's let him get himself fit because they were screaming. They didn't want him back. The Motherwell fans were still peeved with him the way he left. So I think Stuart Kettlewell's played it perfectly. He's now got a fully fit and firing Tony Watt in the team, and that's a big asset for Motherwell. It was a wonderful ball in for Lennon Miller and a great finish, and I think Motherwell needed that, Peter, with the run they've been on. And that's a great result away to St Mirren. That's a tough place to go and win.
Yeah, absolutely. Even Tony, I was going to say Tony Watt, Stephen Robinson, thought maybe a share of the spoils would have been the fairer outcome.
We had a lot of half chances. We created a little bit, but we didn't take them. And as the game goes on, Motherwell were relying on a set play to maybe win the game. And we haven't done the basics right in that last free kick. We dropped too early. We didn't stay with runners, and our line was all over the place. So it's something we're not happy with. At least it happens today as you take a point out of the game, and it's bitterly disappointing we haven't done that.
Let's have a look at the table to see where everybody stands on this one. It's a huge week at the top end of the table, and certainly we'll be monitoring what's going to happen in the Premier Sports Cup final on Sunday as well. We'll be keeping our eye on Saturday and Sunday in the Scottish Premiership, but Celtic out there in front. Aberdeen now narrowly holding on to second place. Rangers are reeling them in. And at the bottom end of the table, Ruffy, Hearts and Hibs still there. Hibs down at the bottom, Hearts above them. But Killie, St Johnstone, County, could you throw St Mirren into that mix as well?
No, I'm going to go for Ross County now. I think Ross County haven't scored one goal away from home. Haven't won a game, and now they're losing games at home. I think the home games are really, really important. So unless they start beating the teams that are down there with them at home, I think they'll be in trouble.
Yeah, Jan the Staggy sent us a lovely Christmas card, Ruffy. It came in this morning, and she obviously has real fears as a Ross County fan that this could be the season where they drop. The conundrum that we're not all aware of is how much money Roy McGregor gives to Don Cowie to try and alleviate that drop if it doesn't materialise.
I think they're there or thereabouts at the end of the season. I think maybe the best that they can hope for is a playoff position.
Yeah, with who going down?
Still think St Johnstone might be dragged.
You still think? Yeah. I'm wavering, Ruffy. I can't make up my mind now because of the way he's got them playing.
I think it'll be between the two. I think Hibs, Hearts, Kilmarnock will draw themselves away, and they'll be left, the two of them, to fight it out.
I think Kilmarnock could still get dragged into it as well.
Yeah, same here, Ali. I don't see any evidence at the moment.
Yeah, they're missing the big boy Finlay. I don't know how long he's out for.
Are you sticking with Ross County and St Johnstone?
Yeah, I think they too.
What about the Hibbies? You don't think they'll get relegated?
No, no chance, Peter.
No chance?
No chance.
What, absolutely strong no
Strong,
chance?
no chance. Hearts or Hibs will not be anywhere near the bottom two.
Both of them will get away?
Yes.
Okay. Tam says absolutely no chance. Give us your thoughts on that.
That means they're stick on to get relegated.
So, what a battle in
Sorry.
next season. What a battle in the Championship. Both Edinburgh sides. We'll have a break for the news.
Hello and welcome to your daily news headlines on Monday the 9th of December, sponsored by Arnold Clark. John Souttar previews Thursday night's Europa League clash against Tottenham Hotspur at Ibrox as Rangers look to continue their recent uptake in form.
Yeah, of course, it'll be a completely different game. We just need to transition into the European style, which I think we've done quite well this season. We've went away from home and got good results against big teams, so yeah, I'm sure we'll do everything we can to do that on Thursday.
And Postecoglou is confident that he and his Spurs squad can turn things around after suffering a heavy defeat to London derby rivals Chelsea in the Premier League yesterday. And of course returns to Glasgow this week to take on Rangers at Ibrox on Thursday night.
Yeah, we'll turn our season around, and like I said, hopefully at some point we hit some smoother waters just in terms of some of the things that are happening at the moment, and some of it's self-inflicted, but hopefully we can get some more consistency.
Tony Watt is grateful for his manager Stuart Kettlewell after he's shown him patience so far this season. This comes after Watt scored the winner in Motherwell's 1-0 win over St Mirren at the weekend.
If I'd went straight in the team, I maybe wouldn't have been able to show my best, and I think the manager's cracked that absolutely perfect. And if I went in, I'd have probably been hung out to dry, and he's let me build up, he's let me work hard, he's given me minutes, and he's worked me hard in training, and I can only thank him for that, for the patience. He's been fair with me, and you know what you're going to get with him.
Those were your daily news headlines on Monday the 9th of December, sponsored by Arnold Clark. For more breaking news and daily content, please be sure to download our app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, Thanks to Cara for the news headlines with Arnold Clark. Thanks to so many of you for posting your opinions on the football. If you do it on the live show, it's at 4 o'clock Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And of course you can watch it at your leisure, which many, many people do. And thank you to so many of you for your support, not only for our news service with the managers and the players, but watching our programmes, great feedback from the journos, the Women's Football Show, and of course the Football Show as well. And thank you to Gary, who says Jan the Staggy is missing the big man. Obviously missing yourself, Ruffy. Ross County going down, Killie in the playoff. And Hugh Scott says, Peter, it's poor that only 4 teams have a positive goal difference. That sums it all up for you. And I think, you know, one line here, big January window at Hibs. Not only at Hibs, I think that the January transfer window could be, you know, the difference between going down depending on who can do the best bit of business.
Yeah, I think if you look at that bottom end of the table, there's only something like 6 points between the bottom 5 teams from St Mirren all the way down. I think it's 6 points that separate them. There's very, very little between them. So teams will know if you can get a small run of form, if you can just piece together a sequence of results, it can really elevate you away from that position. And then, of course, the finances between staying in the top flight and dropping into the Championship are huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Window for me is going to be absolutely crucial. Down south, as well as watching the madness of Tottenham Hotspur, I don't think you can second guess the way this is all going, because you know you've got Manchester United with a new manager, but with a similar outcome again with Nottingham Forest, and you've got Crystal Palace, you know, still able to hold the might of Man City.
Say that last week, Man City, there's something no right for me at Man City. I think they'll finish outside the top 4, and I think your danger to your Liverpool team are Chelsea.
Yeah?
Yep.
I think Chelsea could win the league?
I think Chelsea can win the league. I think they're a dangerous team. They have got a really strong squad of players, and I think the manager's top class. Didn't panic yesterday with 2-0 down, kept playing their football, and then Cole Palmer, he's a sensational football player, Peter. He glides across the ground. He's just a fantastic player, and his goal record for Chelsea is incredible.
Yeah, special player, Ruffy, and I thought really cool. I loved his penalty. Just a nice wee Panenka. There's only certain players that can do that sort of thing, Ruffy.
I'd love somebody to do it, and the goalkeeper just stands and just goes like that. Cheers.
Oh, it's happened. Lineker did it against Brazil in a game, and the keeper never moved, just gathered the ball in. But, you know, when you're in a game like that, a London derby...
Well, and the second penalty that you're taking?
Yeah, it's the second one as well, you know, but he was absolutely cool as ice about it all. And again, just showing you that sometimes if you're a striker and you've got a bit of quality, I'm not a big fan of him, but Jamie Vardy scored one and made one in the last few minutes for Leicester City that ended up getting them a point as well.
What, he must have been 38.
38, yeah.
Yeah, still worth something for them.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't.
He's another one. Why has he never moved?
He said he wanted to be loyal to. Didn't he? Said before he wanted to be loyal to them because they took him when no one else would give him a club. That he wanted to be loyal to Leicester, and whether or not it's ever been actually been put to the
£130,000 a week will probably soften the blow.
Well, to be fair though, he's worth his money, isn't he, Ruffy?
Well,
he keeps himself in great shape.
He needs it to keep his wife in.
He needs to pipe clean Rooney anymore.
It's probably one of the other reasons why I'm not a big fan. But nevertheless, we always like the joy of football, and you know when some people actually grasp what it's all about, the image, the projection of it, and how footballers do so many good things in the background that they don't look for credit for. I thought Seamus Coleman had a lovely touch with a young boy that had saved money coming from America to see the last Merseyside derby. It was called off because of the high winds, and he was going to miss out, and Seamus Coleman has taken him to the training and everything and gave him a special day, realising that his trip was ruined.
Yeah, brilliant. I love clubs that do that. I seen it on X. I seen that he'd travelled over, and I seen all the Liverpool fans getting him abused and laughing. And I thought, I hope Everton do something for the boy. I hope they either get him over to the rearranged fixture, or they get him down to the training ground, in to meet the players and all that. And that's what they've done. Hopefully they'll get him maybe over to the game as well. But yeah, that's what clubs should do. You know, the fans are everything for clubs, and without them, football's nothing. So no, I thought it was a great gesture for Everton to get the boy in and meet all the players. That was a day we'll never forget.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other good thing about it, Ruffy, and you realise this with Celtic, Rangers, Motherwell, Hibs, Hearts, the lot, especially at this time, Alison. And, you know, sometimes we are lucky enough that you get a press conference where you can go to a sick kids hospital and the players are there and you get a chance to highlight that they are there. But there's a lot of players in the background in Scottish football who go about their business without any publicity. They don't want it. The clubs don't seek it. They just say, get out. This is a responsibility. And I think fair play to them all. They deserve a mention.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Celtic's Foundation does a real body of work too within the community, and it's a community obviously in the East End where there are real levels of poverty and unemployment. I think they do a lot of work. I think they're open Christmas Day for anybody that wants to go in and have a hot meal, and they wouldn't be alone in that. I think there's a number of clubs across the top flight who look to bring in community initiatives. Motherwell are very good at it too, St Mirren, just to help those within their communities, just to have different strengths that the club can offer and different amenities that the club can offer.
Yeah, and I love one of our viewers who pointed out that Stephen Naismith used to buy Evertonians match day tickets. He also had his loaves and fishes charity as well. And in the background, I mean, Stephen was just a top drawer person who did so much for the community and probably still does in his community down in Ayrshire.
Yep, and I think you hit it on the head. I think every club has a community involvement. I think if somebody who looks after everything that's going on in the community, I think you've got to be aware that what's happening round about your park, you know, that not just in the park but out with it, because they're the people that are paying at the weekend or whenever to come and see the games. So you should especially do it at this time of year as well. Go out your way.
Absolutely. Listen, I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. There'll be Christmas parties coming up. Had a great Dukla Pumferson Christmas party night out at the weekend.
What time did it start at, Pierre?
It started about 6 o'clock.
And what time were you pissed at?
6:30.
Two Southern Comfort lemonades?
Honestly, 4.
4?
I swear to God.
Did they drop you off in the garden again?
No, what happened is they went to one of these community ones, you know, the ones where the corporate, everybody buys a table from lots of companies, which is really unusual, not the type of thing I would normally.
So you were out with the peasants?
Go to.
So big time, didn't
You kidding?
You want a private? You want your own private room?
I wanted a private room for the trips, but anyway, we went, and one of the guys dropped down 4 Southern Comforts lemonade, Ali, and obviously
in front of you.
I looked and I thought,
at the same time.
4 of them, and I looked and I thought, oh no, this is not going to end well, you know, because I couldn't do 4 in Ruffy, and the boys had emptied they had emptied the table.
Jerry McCabe.
Yep, KB is there, and then they'd brought starting going on champagne.
Aye.
You're actually starting to say to yourself, this is
Dukla Pumferson. I thought they were. That's shocking.
So it was a good day, Ruffy. Yeah. Absolutely, I had a couple
of KB.
Any singers at the end of the night in the group?
There are a few who actually are really good singers, but I had 2 Southern Comforts, Ali, and then realised that this was not for me. Quick phone call.
Trapdoor, was it?
My lovely wife. And then for God's sake, man,
Ali, you've seen these 2 can Dan.
I'm really sorry for not being a drunk.
But it was like we went into that pub, remember? We were Rangers fans. What was it called? What was it? The Vault? Was it the Vault? It was the one next to the near Paisley Road.
Yeah.
Paisley Road.
Oh, it's funny actually. Do you know that bit when Wayne's World, when Wayne and Garth walk into the nightclub, which is just a surprise to everyone who's in there, because most of the guys who were in it were all dressed like the village people, and the whole place stopped, and there's Wayne and Garth, and it was the same feeling as Tam and I walked into.
Just a bit less friendly.
Tam and I walked into this pub, which was clearly full of Rangers fans, and they all stopped.
What are you doing in here?
And they were fantastic, weren't they?
Aye, they got a wee pitch at the end of them after I thought we were going to get stabbed. But anyway, we're all right.
Exactly. And then we had to obviously continue into the dance-off final with them as well together. We were brilliant. Anyway, great day. And if you're out for a Christmas night out, we've got ours coming up, Ruffy. I'm really looking forward to it. Are you?
Next Wednesday, yeah. I'm looking forward to it, yeah.
Absolutely.
Just remind me not to give you too many Southern comforts.
Yeah, and try not to tell anybody where it is as well. That's another good thing. Enjoy your Christmas parties. Enjoy, hopefully, our football chat. We'll be back with the women's football show. Also, you've got the football show on Wednesday, and we've got a lot of one-to-ones and special guests and build up to the big games. Not only will we get reaction from the European matches, but the build up to the big one on Sunday, the Premier Sports Cup final at Hampden. We'll get Ruffy to give us his opinion on who he thinks is going to win, Tam and Alison as well. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for listening and watching today.